I am so grateful for my life in Germany. However, I have to also be honest. Not everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time. There are some days when I am reminded actually how hard it is to be a foreigner living in Germany. This is not intended to be a bashing video, but more like an honest reflection of some of the things that I have struggled with living in Germany that you might encounter as well. Let's start with point number 1, and that is the real unfriendliness. Actually, a story that happened to me recently was the inspiration for this video. What happened is that it was a very sunny Sunday day here in Germany, and Ivan and I decided to take our bikes out for a little stroll. On the way back home, I made a left turn, and as I was turning left, there was a lot of people in this pedestrian area / bikes were allowed as well. As I was turning left, this woman out of nowhere yelled, "Oh, immer diese scheiße Rennradfahrer!"
Which means as much as, always these stupid or these stupid race bike riders.
Yeah, and I was like, what? So first of all, yes, I was on a race bike. Second of all, I wasn't like race biking because I had my normal clothes. Literally, we had strolled with the bike for like 15 minutes. And B, what?
And this woman, mind you, was on a bike as well. So not a pedestrian, on an e-bike. Already both feet on the floor, so just observing when it's her time to turn. So there was no danger. We were 2 meters away from her and no one was being messed around with. She was just standing there, seeing the race bike, seeing it in front of her and letting out her aggression. And this is what we, or Jen in that case, refer to. Germans yell. And I can only agree. And we do so without really realizing how that might be affecting the other person, because in our culture it's just so normal and we just brush it off as, just because you are unhappy or you have a bad day, whatever, let it out on others. It's easier than dealing with it yourself, I would say. But especially when, let's say, someone gets yelled at that might not be used to this because it's not a thing in their culture, that can be extremely hurtful.
It is very extremely hurtful. I laughed it off because after 11 years of living in Germany, I kind of understand a little bit, and I know this person didn't mean it to be offensively personally, and I'm pretty sure if I would have gone up to her and like tell her, hey, what's your deal? We could have solved it and everything would have been fine.
She would have been like, whoa, what's happening now? Because usually, one just yells back.
Yes, and that is a cultural thing fully. I'm not saying it's okay by means. Don't take me like, oh, it's totally fine that people yell at you, but it's a thing that happens. And I would also like to clarify that Germans yell to other Germans. They yell to cats, to dogs, to street signs, to plants. They yell to a lot of things.
For example, before, again, like through being with Jen, but also especially through Simple Germany, I get sensitized, is that a word?
Yeah.
Sensitized a lot more. And I used to yell I would never consider it as yelling, but
it is yelling.
There you go. But in the spectrum of this video, it is yelling. When I was riding my bike on a Radweg, so on a specific area just for bikes, a bike path, and there's pedestrians on there because they don't care, they disrespect the signs, then I yell at them and say, Radweg. And that's just our culture.
Yes, that is totally true.
It's nothing against you personally.
Yes, which is also kind of like shocking. So I would also clarify there's 2 kinds of yellings, I think, in Germany. Maybe you want to talk a little bit more since you're the German?
Yeah, well, there is the one we just described, the Radweg, the like get out of my way, or you're annoying me, or you're in the wrong place. It's kind of like also correcting someone. In Jen's example, just letting off steam because, again, we don't know what happened to that person. Yeah. Probably she had a bad incident with another road biker, road race biker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, before. And that is the norm, I would say, in a daily life that can happen. And that needs to be differentiated with, of course, offensive yelling that is directed towards you, that is using words that are offensive and that are targeted.
Yes, definitely. And if you are in a situation when someone is yelling at you directly and actually calling you names or threatening you, that is another level of yelling, which is not okay. And even verbally threatening someone or actually insulting someone, it's considered a crime in Germany.
Definitely, yeah.
So if you feel that you are actually threatened and you kind of feel like you are in danger, definitely call the police, because this is a case where they would come and help you out for sure.
Yeah. But other than that, if you get yelled at in a general way, don't take it personally, even if it hurts. It's just the German way, as sad as it is.
Yeah, which is the truth. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, this bike story might have sounded familiar because I shared that story a few weeks ago to our smoothlers that are in our newsletter. Every Tuesday, I send out an email with some of my life stories of living in Germany, as well as some tips that might help you out. And you can sign up to our smoother newsletter at simplegermany.com/newsletter. The second thing on my list is the perceived unfriendliness.
I experienced that recently myself, and there was a friendly reminder that there is a perceived unfriendliness in Germany when I was out on the streets in the morning hours and there was a woman walking past me, just kind of like we were the only people. She was looking very grim, very unhappy, one could say. And I just decided to greet her and said, "Guten Morgen." And in that moment, her face, first of all, I caught her attention. She looked at me and the face changed to "Guten Morgen." And it lit up, it was a smile, and I got a friendly "Guten Morgen" back. And that shows that just because someone looks unfriendly doesn't mean they are unfriendly. It's very often the case. Germans don't just walk through the streets smiling. They usually are going about their business, and very often their faces look grim.
I would also like to tell another story, and that's that we went to Esprit, remember, and we wanted to return a jeans because we bought it there and it had a defect. And we went there with our ticket and the jeans, and we asked the lady, "Can we return this because of this and this?" And she was like, "Where's your Kundenkarten? Like, where's your card for that you're a customer?" "Oh, we left it at home." And then she started typing on her computer, you know, like super, it looked like she was very mad at the moment. And when she finished that transaction, she's like, "Is there anything I can do for you? Would you like to look around, or do you want this in cash?" And I was like, what just happened? And then she was super friendly. And then, you know, we got the refund back, and then she wished us a very happy day. She had a smile on her face, and then we left, and I'm like, Yvonne, what was that?
Well, that I would say was just a German doing her job and kind of like trying to get the information for her task, which maybe she's not the most engaged with. But after it was done, she didn't care about the task anymore and just showed her true colors. I mean, that's our interpretation. All we are saying is that the moment you approach someone, you might be surprised by
how
friendliness
nice
and a smile, which you don't see if you never approach someone.
Point number 3 is the weather. So if you've been following Simple Germany for some time, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we have to be honest and talk about the weather. I come from a very warm country. Well, I wouldn't say like very warm, but definitely there's a lot of sunshine to the extent that we run away from the sun. There's so much sunshine that you're always looking for the shade. You're like, "Oh man, it's so sunny today." You actually complain about the sun. And after I moved to Germany and been here for so many years, I realized, oh my God, I miss the sun a lot.
And understands why the Germans seek the sun every chance they get. And also when they travel on vacation to warmer climates, they always lay in the sun for hours.
I understand.
Because it's just not a thing we take for granted.
Yes, I understand why. At least here in Dusseldorf, which a friend recently called it Drizzledorf. For example, I feel like winter tends to be very long. For me, it's like from October till May, because that's when the temperatures are mildish. There's a lot of rain, a lot of gray days. Of course, you have the winter time when the sun sets super early, like 4:30 it's dark, then slowly it starts transitioning. And some days I would say are tougher than others to, you know, keep the good vibes and positivity when it's just grim outside. And that is just a thing. You know, it's been 11 years, like I said, that I have been dealing with this. Throughout the years, it's gotten better, and I'm more prepared for winters, try to find activities that I can do. We have 2 videos that we talk about how to deal with winter in Germany, both mentally and also what kind of like outfits you should look for if it's your first time having a European winter, because you probably come from a tropical land like me. So make sure to check those out. We will link them here in the description box below.
And I must agree with Jenna on the point that it's just super unpredictable, the weather in Germany, and it's moody. And sometimes it's like a box of chocolates and you have no idea what to expect. So as a good German, I have taken the habit of checking the weather more or less frequently before going out. Like, do I need to prepare for rain? What's the temperature? Is it windy? Yada, yada, yada. So for me, this is just a completely normal thing to do. So this was just a friendly reminder to ourselves that yes, this is not taken for granted by everyone to check the weather, which is as part of this video.
And also there's a very famous German saying that goes, "Es gibt kein schlechtes Wetter, nur
schlechte Kleidung." So
wow.
There is no bad weather, just bad clothing.
There you go. If you're finding the content of this video valuable, then make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to always get notified about tips and things on how to settle into life in Germany more smoothly, then make sure to hit that subscribe button.
And if you'd like to go the extra mile, you can do so in the shape of a virtual coffee donation at simplegermany.com/coffee. Thank you for your support.
Point number 4 on the list is the language barrier. So this is based on 2 parameters that I personally have. Number 1 is that I didn't learn German as a child. And number 2, it seems that the part of my brain that is in charge of learning languages has a very small storage. Like it's I don't know what's going on there. I'm a quick learner in a lot of other things, but languages just seem to not be a thing for me for some reason.
German language.
And German especially is tough at times. But what I want to specify with this is that I have found that the key to unlocking German culture has definitely been learning German. You understand a little bit more the German sense of humor. I go like this because sometimes it doesn't sound funny, but when you get it, it's actually funny. And also to be able to interact with people and ask questions and get connections and meet friends, it has definitely helped with that. And there are some days where it's awesome, you know? Like we can go to an improv comedy show in German and I understand 90% of the things. Other times I'm sitting at a dinner with German people and I don't understand like a single word. Sometimes I speak super fluently, you know, it's like, oh wow, what happened, you know? Maybe drinking beer has to do with that. I know, I'm not kidding. Sometimes I'm sober also when I speak fluently. And other times it's like I struggle to build the simplest sentences. And this, after 11 years, has never gone away. Sometimes it's super high, sometimes it's super low. And when it's super low, I have to be honest, it's very discouraging because you're like, dude, I've been here so long and I still don't get it. It's very, you know, heartbreaking at times and it's like a struggle. Especially also I have realized that if I have to focus for a longer period of time with German, for example, if we have multiple day activities with your family or stuff, day 3, I'm 50% of the time there because it's just so time consuming. Like I said, you know, very small storage facility, not very, you know, I don't have an M1 Apple chip there. It's very short and there's a circuit and then it's just gone. And even if I want to understand, it's just like a wall. I don't know. And I think that's also like a very personal thing. If you are a person that, you know, can learn languages super fast, maybe you don't struggle with this. But I would say sometimes this is really a battle.
Yeah, so the learning here is start learning German as early as you can because you also lack the first years a little bit, right?
Yes, that is very true.
Yeah, have the mindset for it and then just be ready for an ongoing battle if you are not the language learner aficionado.
Yes, and also to be honest, like I said, just be prepared for the very good days, which you're going to feel amazing, and maybe good days where you will just feel like, oh man, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to switch to English because I don't know. Number 5 is no support system for your home. So what do we mean by this? First of all, it highly depends where you come from and what you're used to at home.
And this applies more to families with smaller children or families that are about to have small children and are already in Germany or want to move to Germany.
In Guatemala, if a family has both parents working full-time, of course you need support for your house and if you have kids, to raise your kids and cook and everything. And it is quite common that if you are working full-time, you might have enough income to actually hire help. Hire help for cleaning the house, another person for cooking, another person for being the nanny. And this is quite common practice because service in this area is relatively cheap or inexpensive. Versus if you want to have the same system, let's say in Germany, that is not going to work out the same way.
I was gonna say, whenever we're with our Latino friends and I hear about, you know, that having a cook or having a private nanny for the kids, that is very, very uncommon in Germany. The one thing I would say I can relate with most is maybe having someone that helps you clean the house. This, I would say, is the most common support for your home that you can find in Germany. However, it's also not that easy to find and it's definitely not as affordable as I would say in Guatemala per se. But having a private chef or having like a private nanny, unheard of, and I would say you need to be definitely in the upper ranks of income to even afford that. So just be aware that this kind of support system does not exist in Germany. Your kids will either be taken care of by a kita or a kindergarten or a school, but never for a full, complete day. So this kind of support system does not exist in Germany, and this is just something you need to be aware of before moving, or in the first month of moving, you'll experience it.
Yes, additional to that, we received also a letter from a smoother asking, hey, you know, I'm going to get this much salary. What's my quality of life going to be there? And this is one of the trade-offs that you need to consider because money here is not going to buy you maybe the same access to these kind of services, but the life here will give you access to other things. We've heard from Latino friends, for example, I love that my children can be more independent, they can go to school, they learn to cook and actually do their laundry quite early, which in Guatemala, this is kind of like unheard of, you know? Did you know we have templates on our website that can help you settle into life in Germany more smoothly?
You can check them out at simplegermany.com/templates.
Now, continuing with the video. Now, number 6, of course, how can we have a video about annoying things in Germany without talking about bureaucracy?
Yes, and there's a lot of talk about German bureaucracy. However, I would argue there's a big difference of just talking about it and knowing it exists versus actually being impacted by it and feeling it yourself.
Experiencing it, yeah.
Exactly. And this is not just for foreigners. I mean, us Germans, we also totally experience it and deal with it on a not daily, but monthly or yearly basis. And it's just that we are more used to it, I would say, except for maybe dealing with the Ausländerbehörde, which is a next level bureaucracy. Exactly. But the processes that are there, they're also there for a reason, and they got Germany to where it is today. Are some of them outdated? Yes. Do they need to be modernized? Yes. But at the same time, it's a bit of a double-edged sword. So what we're trying to convey here is to be patient, go through the processes, follow them to the T, be informed, which we are trying to inform you as best as we can, and be persistent with getting the documents that you need.
Yes, and I would also argue, I don't know, please correct me if I'm wrong, please name me a country that is not as bureaucratic. For example, in Guatemala, now that I think about it, we also have a lot of bureaucratic processes. And sometimes it's also ridiculous. You're in a building, they throw you to another building, but that building tells you this building should have told you this, and then you go ahead and get a stamp there, which is previous. So it's still a very big mess.
Yeah, but I would say there are countries that are a little bit more digitalized, right?
Where
there's not so much paperwork.
That is true. The paperwork, I would agree. However, the processes, I think in any country that you go, there is bureaucracy. But in Germany, of course, as people sometimes call it, is a little bit bureaucrazy. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was not meant to be a complaining or bashing video. It's just about some truths that you should be aware of to weigh your chances or like what you should be prepared for in Germany. In my personal case, in my life, based on my lifestyle, all these things that we mentioned, they're just a very small, let's say, sacrifice that I need to do for having a big reward for me, which is the quality of life that I have experienced in Germany. If you want to know more things that I love about Germany, you can check out our video here on the left, which is 10 things I love about Germany. Until next time, choose!
And I like what you said yesterday, like you're a quick learner, just not with languages.
But I can say like with my database has little storage.
Okay.
Okay.